Welcome back. 8:21 right now. So as we talked about on the show, President Joe Biden has signed that COVID relief bill. And this morning, we want to talk about the money. What's in it for you? Consumer expert Dan Roccato is here with those answers for us. Dan, good morning.
What's up, Liz? How you doing?
So good. Thank you so much for joining us here. So we want to get down to business here, talk about those $1,400 stimulus checks. What do we know about when those could be hitting our accounts?
So the Treasury Department said it could be as early as this weekend. I wouldn't spend the money just yet. Let's plan on middle next week, toward the end of next week. For those of us who have our direct deposit instructions in with the IRS, you'll be the first ones to get your money.
Okay, so that's good to know. And obviously, like you said, I mean, people have to spend it right now. I mean, they have got bills and rent and debt.
Yeah.
All of that is important, we know. But let's say you don't have those issues right now. You're lucky enough to not have that. In your expert opinion, what are some smart things that people can do with this extra cash?
Great question. Number one, let's have an emergency savings fund. As we saw the last year, Liz, how important it is to have some rainy day funds, right? So make sure we've got some rainy day funds. Next up, if you've got high interest credit card debt, let's say you're paying 20% interest on your credit card, let's try to tackle that balance if we can, because that's a great way to save money over the long term. And next, Liz, you know what? Here's what I tell folks. Focus on the things that are really important: your mortgage, your rent, healthcare expenses, right? Those must-haves. And finally, never underestimate a splurge, right? Studies have shown that when consumers build in a little splurge into their budget, Liz, they actually do a better job staying on their budget. So baseball tickets, mani-pedi, why not?
Oh, those are right up my alley. You're speaking my language. You should. You just a little treat yourself, you know. But tell us a little bit. We also want to talk about this child tax credit that's super significant for families and really what this means for them.
Yeah, so this is a complicated part of the bill. It's complicated enough that it makes your hair hurt. Well, your hair, not mine. But here's what I want families to know in Seattle this morning. Number one, you're going to get more money. So under the old plan, it was about $2,000 per child. Under the new plan, it's $3,000. Under the old plan, it stopped at age 16. Under the new plan, age 17. 90% of families, it's estimated, are going to benefit from this the new eligibility, if you will. So it's expanded that eligibility. So that's the important thing. Again, it depends on how much you earn. It depends on how many kids you have. So it does get kind of complicated, but that's the message this morning. More families, higher benefit.
Oh, wow. That's good news for a lot of families. Absolutely. Now, I want to ask you a little bit about the unemployment stipulations in the COVID bill. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I read that a certain amount of the unemployment is not being taxed for 2020. Normally, you would get taxed on that. What do we know about that right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. Here's the deal. A lot of folks don't understand that unemployment compensation is taxable income, right? So last year, when 40 million of us lost our jobs and collected some unemployment, that was taxable. So now we're faced with paying taxes on that money. In the bill, however, as you said, up to $10,200 worth of that unemployment income last year has been basically said tax-free. So if you were unemployed last year and you collected 10 grand in unemployment, you will not pay tax on it.
Wow, that is huge. That's going to be huge for a lot of folks doing those 2020
Yep.
tax returns. And when it comes to that boost in unemployment, it's what, $300? And does that hit immediately or?
Yeah, $300,
Okay.
and that goes out till Labor Day, basically September 6th. So for those folks, and there's 18 million of us, by the way, still looking for jobs, right? So we're not out of this thing yet. So for those 18 million folks, they have until September with that extended benefit. Hopefully they'll find jobs a lot sooner than that.
Yeah, let's hope, absolutely. But this all seems like a helpful step in the right direction. Dan, thank you so much. This is great info. We certainly appreciate it.
Thanks, Liz. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too.